Anatomy of the soul. The soul is an essence with 22 parts. 22 parts of the soul. Introduction. The soul is an essence. I've divided mine into 22 parts. 1. Know your soul. 2. Know your soul by way of pain. 3. Live your soul in your mind. 4. Take regular inspired action via soulful pursuits. 5. Try to reach the transcendent zone. 6. Youthful spark, sexual vitality, and inspiration. 7. Define the perfect feeling for yourself, a state of eternal divine inspiration. 8. Seek to earn your keep by mastering a soulful pursuit. 9. People are a constant meld of intimate connections and solitary lives all in one. 10. Cooperation, friendship, and peace are the maturity of the soul. 11. Share your soul with people, pets and all life. 12. Humor, joy, and an easygoing manner keep the soul light, young, strong and free. 13. Find a worthy soulmate equal to share your soul with. 14. Use God as the divine force in your soul. 15. The pursuit of aesthetic beauty nurtures the soul. 16. Live in peace and moderation. 17. Have a harbor for your soul. 18. Pursue knowledge and wisdom to enhance the horizons of your soul. 19. The body is the temple of the soul. 20. Music is the dance of the soul. 21. Nature is the purity of the soul. 22. Pets are a gift to the soul. Chapter 1. Anatomy of the soul. 22 parts of the soul. In the end, all paths to enlightenment lead to the same destination: find your soul and live by it. No matter what, you're responsible for everything that happens to you in your life. You're not your past, your profession, your relationships, or your God. You're who you are right now, this very minute, your essence, your soul. I've subdivided the human soul down into 22 highlights or important areas as far as my life goes. This is the essence of the human soul as far as I'm concerned, but it's only one guy's view, so it's not conclusive. As I've already said over and over, life is a spiritual flow, not a bunch of steps or stages to follow, so the idea is to read through these 22 guiding lights, then incorporate them into a flowing lifestyle of expressing your essential self, kinda like you're dancing along to your favorite song, half drunk on top of it, feeling free, loose and strong. The soul as your base. Know your soul. Know your soul by way of pain. Live your soul in your mind. Take regular inspired action via soulful pursuits. Try to reach the transcendent zone. Youthful spark, sexual vitality, and inspiration are the powers of the soul. Define the perfect feeling for yourself. Seek to earn your keep by mastering a soulful pursuit. The soul with people. 9. People are a constant meld of intimate connections and solitary lives all in one. 10. Cooperation, friendship, and peace are the maturity of the soul. 11. Share your soul with people, pets and all life. 12. Humor, joy, and an easygoing manner keep the soul light, young, strong and free. 13. Find a worthy soulmate equal to share it all with. The soul as spirit. 14. Use God as the divine force in your soul. The pursuit of aesthetic beauty nurtures the soul. Live in peace and moderation. 17. Have a harbor for your soul. The other parts of the soul. 18. Pursue knowledge and wisdom to enhance the horizons of your soul. 19. The body is the temple of the soul. 20. Music is the dance of the soul. 21. Nature is the purity of the soul. 22. Pets are a gift to the soul. Chapter 2. The soul as your base. 1. Know your soul. In the life of each of us, I said to myself, there is a place remote and island, and given to endless regret or secret happiness. Sarah Orne Jewett, The Country of the Painted Furs, 1896. What is the spirit of your being? Be loyal to your soul. Abandon yourself to it. Firstly, you have to define your soul, figure yourself out to realize who you are, what your soul is, and accept that as your base foundation. Visualize what you'd really like to do with your life barring money, limitations, etc. Try not to make it something from the brainwash of the world like a material thing. I'd like to live in a mansion with Prince Wonderful, or a trip you'd like to take somewhere. I'd like to go to Paris to shop, go to the fashion shows and drink coffee. Try to make it an action thing that you'd like to do as a regular lifestyle. There has got to be a seed inside of you that says this is my purpose, what I was meant to do. Strip down butt naked, then go face yourself in the mirror. Get real close so you can see your nose hairs. That's you right now, the best you got to work with. Do you honestly feel that you're honoring that body and soul? Strip away everything you own and your position in the world to see yourself for exactly who you are. Who do you see staring back at you? Do you really love your life? Do you really like your body? Does your face glow with the joy of living, or do you look pasty, tired, old, mundane, and nerdy? Are you really the person you want to be? Do you get any real happiness almost every day? Do you feel free? Is there any spring in your step? Ask yourself, why were you born? What is the purpose of your life? Imagine standing naked on a cloud. A bolt of divine lightning shoots down and bares your soul for your Creator to see. What do you want him or her to see? This is the person you should strive to be. This is the real you, your maximized ideal self. Visualize your highest vision of aesthetic beauty, you as your highly idealized, mastered self looking up at your Creator who says, "You've done well for yourself, my son, or daughter," manifesting the seed I created within you. Find your vision and keep it close as your version of heaven on earth. You may not get there in real life, but as long as you live it in spirit, you'll be happy. Soul is when you see something for the first time and know it's you. Go back to when you were a kid all the way up to about 25 years old. They were probably the best days of your life. There's no reason why you should stop doing what you did back then just because you grew up. You must internalize the fact that you want to find purpose, and the subconscious mind will eventually spit it out in a quick momentary flash of you doing what you love at your best. We, or at least I, have one part as primordial, untamed savage. The second as free-flowing, naked creative artist. The third as a curious intellectual, keeping my mind stimulated for the love of the process. The pro-social face of civilization I put on for the world when I'm around other people in general. The face I put on when I'm trying to be real, honest, friendly, true, tender, and loving with somebody I like or care about. The other side of me which craves sensual experiences. When I saw the last untamed tribe of Aborigines on TV sitting there in the outback while the huge sun set behind them, I felt that primal connection with earlier humanity, which is who we really are. A bunch of natives sitting on a rock in space with absolutely nothing known for sure except this life right now. Go out into the country some night by yourself or with your best friend or lover, light a fire, then sit around and look up at the stars. You must see reality for what it is. We, as a race, are insignificant beings in the cosmos. As an individual, you're just one lone being in the midst of life. All you really own is time. If you can be yourself and find somebody to love for a while, you win, but you'll get old, probably get sick, feeble, and weak, your spark will fade, then you'll get discouraged as you finish out your life a limited version of your virile self now. Try to remember your dreams while you sleep because they're your soul talking to you. You need to get out into nature to get the freedom and space to ponder your life's thoughts and mortality on a regular basis like I do. Several years ago, I carved a trail for myself that goes about 4 miles back in the woods to a lake which nobody else ever walks because it's so isolated, so I'm free to hike back there without encountering anybody and feel the infinity of time, that those huge pine trees I pass were around several hundred years ago, and that I'm walking in a forest that is as timeless as the beginning of life on planet Earth. Unless you're right there in the midst of a quiet forest with no sounds of traffic around, you can't really relate to what I'm talking about, this feeling of timelessness and universality it gives me. Get a sleeping bag so that you can lay down and look up at the sky. At this point, I'd ingest a psychedelic substance, but for you, maybe a 12-pack or a quart of wine might loosen you up a bit. Bring a stereo, make a tape of your 20 favorite songs, play them and start dancing around by the fire. The intent is to free yourself enough such that the subconscious mind, which is usually hidden, comes flooding through. There are several ways to access your true self clearly, and the precursor to all of them is that you have to be free and open enough to seek them out. Write 5 short essays called My Life as a Child, My Life Now, The Best Day of My Life, My Vision of a Peaceful, Beautiful Life, What I'll See Looking Back on the Last Day of My Life. Compare them later when you leave the woods and go back home to see how far you've strayed in the life you're living now versus those visions you put down on paper. If you feel so inclined, bring some crayons or paints with brushes and a notepad and simply draw pictures about yourself in your life now, namely what's eating you, what do you need to do to live out a great life, and what is your image of a great life. Swimming at night brings me back to my primordial essence. I feel a raw, primordial connection to all of humanity before me, basic people trying to survive and make sense of our lives here on Earth. I swim across the lake in the darkness, then feel totally free as I sprint back, feeling I'm doing the same thing some Indian or Greek did 5,000 years ago. All through history, water has held a deep mystical meaning, kind of like the door to the hidden, what lies beneath the surface, as with the subconscious mind. The soul/subconscious mind is kinda like an iceberg or a body of water, most of it is hidden beneath the surface. Because of its free, flowing nature, water has a soothing effect on the mind, so it adds a nice touch when you're trying to access your primitive roots. Perhaps you could get a boat and just drift around aimlessly at night. From your thoughts out there, you may have a vision, flashes of who you are, kind of like fantasy action shots of you at your best in your natural state, living the lifestyle that fits for you. These quick flashes you get in your fantasies are your archetypes. Archetypes are concepts originally coined by Carl Jung, the mystical psychologist from the early 1900s, who said that buried within each of us is a deep genetic seed or archetype, which is our inherent essence, who we are as individuals. The best way to identify your archetype is probably to draw a picture of your ideal self in a fantasy world. Go to past history and modern-day pop culture. Pick out several characters that you admire or would like to be. That's you in your archetypal state. Indians in the past used to go on vision quests where, after getting high from psychedelic substances alone in the woods, they had to wait until their soulmate animal spirit friend contacted them and entered into their souls forevermore, and from that point on, they would develop archetypal personality traits of the particular animal they bonded with. My kindred spirit animal friends are the husky dog and the wolf. AlaskanMalamute.org, DogWorldMag.com, Mushing.com, Dog Sledding, Samoyed.org, SHCA.org, Siberian Husky, Wolfhaven.org, Wolftown.com, YoungWolf.com. I feel connected to husky dogs and wolves by nature. I live as simply as a dog or a wolf does, by his instincts. I can run with the pack or go it alone. I can be a predator or a playmate. Both are part of my true nature in my soul. It's the same with tigers and all cats. They can be predators or playmates depending on the situation. I'm always aware of the unspoken hierarchy in any situation, who's alpha and who's weak. I don't care about the fake external trappings of a person, I look for the true life force within. It's easy to read somebody via instinct. Find your animal spirit and keep it close as the essence of your being. Life is really that simple, the essence of your simple, basic primal life force. Make up a tape of your 10 to 20 favorite songs that describe your life. Listen to it to get a vibe for your essence. Is it happy, upbeat, on the go? Does it make you want to move, or is it slow, thoughtful, depressing, tired, etc.? What is the mood of your life? Make a pledge to live for your main defining vision, but not be bound by it, because you're enlightened enough to know that although fulfillment of the vision is a good reward, life is really all about your actions day by day. You live out the vision through action. It's not a picture-perfect postcard you strive to reach like standing in front of your big house on the mountain. It's a fluid commodity that must constantly be replenished. Victories and tragedies come and go. Nothing matters but the continuous flow of life, knowing what you must do to stay inspired and calm day by day. Nothing else can give you inner spark, not even the greatest lover or all the money in the world. 2. Know your soul by way of pain. Don't shy away from your true self just because the world is pulling at you to be its clone. You only grow when you face fear, weakness, failure, and fatigue head on and live through them. Confront your struggles, adversity and the unknown. Only when you've met your greatest terrors and conquered them do you truly make peace with your life. One is the fear of death, the second is the fear of the unknown within, through which you must take the hero's journey alone. Another major one is to face your greatest temptations and conquer them, like the temptation of stealing a large amount of money if the situation presents itself, or the temptation of not having sex with your best friend's wife when she offers it. Only in such moments do you reveal your true character to yourself. To live out these situations is to know yourself completely. Man's search for meaning has led him to continue to strive for something spiritual which never ends, because regardless of what you do, how much you hit the perfect feeling, you always feel frustrated when it's over, like you're not quite there yet, and even if you get there, it only lasts for a little while, then you have to do something else to renew yourself, so the pain and frustration of life never really ends for the enlightened. Everything in life comes down to how well you handle the circumstances you end up in. Failure may be painful, but it's a learning lesson and shows you had the guts to try. Some people don't fail because they don't try to do what they really want. This is the bigger tragedy, feeling no pain because you chose a dull, safe life. On the other hand, some people don't believe in failure because everything you do regardless of outcome is part of your journey, therefore it's all good. It's a great attitude to live by, to accept it all as the experience of life regardless of outcome in the so-called real world. Buddhist principles say that all life is suffering. Triumph over this is to realize it, understand it, overcome it, and move on to live life for its glory unfettered despite what surrounds you in your daily life. True freedom is not the beach bum laying on the beach. Anybody can do that. It's the guy in a jail cell or in a poor, oppressive country who hasn't let it affect him. True freedom is keeping the sanctity of your soul regardless of what surrounds you in real life, good or bad. Know yourself, know your pain. A good life is to not run away from pain, because if you're real, you only postpone it until such time as you face it. Most creative types live the lives of struggling artists to find themselves. No other way can free you from the bondage within than to go out into the world alone to see what's out there, the mythical hero's journey, then explore your entire inner self into the subconscious mind, the collective unconscious and archetypes which all make up the soul, which is where all real heroes' journeys eventually lead anyway. It generally involves a lot of hard work and pain due to the economic uncertainty of doing what you believe in while the world is laughing at you and calling you a bum because you're not playing its game. If you can confront everything about yourself and live your journey, you'll come out the other side a happier, more complete, powerful person who knows who he or she is. There were hard times that brought me closer to my real self than anything else ever could. Life for the enlightened is to have the guts to suffer in your quest to live your life, to always strive to keep a certain amount of soulful expenditure there that keeps you vital and strong day by day. To enter the unknown, the fear of life, and do it anyway, to feel the pain and suffering of it all, is to have felt the entire spectrum of the human condition. If and when you come out the other side, you're more enlightened, cleansed, and healed than any average person could ever be. Some people won't come out the other side though. They'll either self-destruct or be destroyed by one of the many evil forces out there, which is part of the process of maturity, to realize that the world is not quite as Pollyannish as it appears from your warm house in the suburbs somewhere. Many people pay for their curiosity and desire for adventure with death, but at least they died in the process of doing what they wanted to do. If you make it through, you've been there, done that for the worse life has to offer, so after that, everything's more or less a joke to you, you're on borrowed time because you've seen it all, come close to being poor and homeless and had a few close calls with your mortality by doing reckless, crazy things. Now you know how fallible life is and take it all in stride, enjoying it with nothing to prove to anyone but yourself. You have the gusto to hold onto your vital spark for the rest of your life because that's the code and standard you came to for yourself through living your hero's journey, and you'll take the challenge that you're tough enough to do it till death do you part. You don't do it in order to appear like a fascinating person to the world as many phonies do, you do it for you because you love this gift of life that God gave you so much that you'll take it as far as you can go. It's just a matter of staying cool and inspired day by day, going for the enjoyment and intensity of it as much as possible. We're all Beauty and the Beast, Cain and Abel on the inside. The path of life is wholeness, a complete acceptance and experience of both. There's a dark side in all of us that must be acknowledged and lived out to a certain extent, because through your darkness, you find what's good and often choose to live by it rather than by the dark side. You must feel everything in your soul. They say it's always darkest before the dawn. I believe that by exploring your dark side, your carnal, lusty, passionate side if you will, and your morality, you live through the process of becoming who you really are. This makes you appreciate the goodness and euphoria of life way over all the little-minded people out there who've never known the intense striving of passion in any endeavor either way, for good or bad. It's good to live through hell on earth because then you see yourself at your weakest, know how it felt, know how you dealt with it, know how to deal with it the next time, and know you want to live through hell as little as possible, so you work your butt off to stay out of there. Alexander the Great died in the pursuit of his destiny, as did La Salle, the French explorer on the Mississippi. Captain Cook got killed by the natives on a Pacific island somewhere, as did the greatest martyr of the artists, Van Gogh, but Samuel Hearne didn't in his exploration of the Arctic, nor did Joshua Slocum in his solo sail around the world. Many free spirits on their journeys die in the process of living out their destinies, but that's part of the journey, to put it all to the test on the line as you go for it. If you've got the guts to take risks rather than just play it safe at home with your average job, I salute you as one of the enlightened free spirits on the planet. You simply do because you must, because it's the real pure you. It comes down to security versus freedom. Do you value living a full life chasing your version of freedom even if it means risking your comfort level? If you follow the path you feel within, it's all good because you're just following what's natural in you, as long as you don't let your dark side out too much and go around hurting other people. Remember, the only rule is that your rights stop where others start. The world may try to say you're being selfish, self-centered, or narcissistic by following this path. You're entitled to live your own life regardless of what anyone else says about you. It only gets selfish if I try to impose what I want onto others. We're all connected to each other in our souls to the divine life force, which is often called God. What you do to the least of your fellow human beings, you do to your God, either good or bad, and it all supposedly comes back to you by the law of karma. So the message is clear. Live your journey, feel the pain, learn from it to become a better person, then release your light onto the world to reap the benefits of that light returning to you from your goodwill. Hoarding things for yourself, living in excess while you know your brother and sister less than 3 miles away are barely getting by, or keeping your negative energy and pain inside of you cause disharmony within. So the lesson is to release your negative energy harmlessly out into the ether by thinking it through, then expending it through positive soulful pursuits that help and inspire you, other people, or both. This makes you feel good. Love isn't love till it's given away. Pain isn't good until it's transformed into positive action. Don't keep your pain inside. Find it, live it, release it by doing something good with it. If you own too many things materially, sooner or later you feel an inequitable distribution between you and the world. You might not admit it outright, but you're aware that you're living lavishly while there's so much pain out there. You've isolated yourself from humanity by this act, and somewhere deep down, you know it's wrong. You know you're violating the spirit of nature. Take only what you need and nature will replenish itself, so the only logical choice to get rid of this pain is to give your stuff away, live a simpler life more connected to people on a real level. Even if you're not more connected to people after giving your stuff away, You won't feel as alienated as when you were this greedy bitch or bastard hoarding all this meaningless stuff while you were aware that there are kids starving out there. This is one of the reasons I prefer not to associate with people who have a lot of money and conspicuously show it off. How can you live in extreme excess in good conscience when you know that so much of the world is suffering? By being a bit more down to earth you could help some of them. We try to satisfy our selfish material needs so much that when we finally get there, we realize it's nice to have money but it's not everything. Following our souls and sharing ourselves with the world is a better path to take even if there's some pain at the outset. In order to live in heaven on earth, you have to live in your own hell first, take the journey of the soul, explore everything in your subconscious mind no matter what the cost in pain and sadness because it's the only way to truly enlighten and cleanse yourself of whatever's inside of you. 3. Live your soul in your mind. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Your soul must be the engine for your mind such that you stay inspired as much as you can. Meditation, contemplation of your life or prayer all come down to the same thing, getting close to your essential self, thinking about it to act accordingly by your soul in your day-to-day life. I try to live in a cool, easy breezy headspace that's mostly made up of all manner of aesthetic visions, good music, positive thoughts, a romantic ambience, a relaxed temperament and any other nice, neat luscious things I can fill it up with as far away from the drudgery of the so-called real world as possible. You are what you think, Proverbs 23:7 from the Bible. Even if you can't get to this beautiful, inspired lifestyle you desire, you can still live it out in your mind, and the differences in the effects between fantasy and reality over a lifetime are quite negligible because the subconscious mind doesn't discriminate between real life and fantasy thoughts. So what this means in plain English is that despite the mundanity that surrounds you in your day-to-day life, you must culture a headspace such that you're living in a transcendent, easy breezy groove. Whatever surrounds you in real life will never come close to the fantasies you create in your own mind unless you're Solomon with his 800 concubines and all his wealth. So fantasy is good to keep you inspired and happy, especially if your real life around you is a bit of a drag as it is for most people. This is the basis for the many positive thinking books out there. Be happy and positive no matter what, you'll feel better and sooner or later you'll reach your goals as long as you keep believing, smiling, and working hard. Stay optimistic. If we think negative thoughts, we produce the opposite effect. We help destroy ourselves by being depressed until we come out of it with hope, positive thoughts, and inspiration. Always try to be relaxed, minimize stress and think that life is great even if you're not doing so hot, because if you're not feeling any physical pain or mental anguish, you're ahead of the game and shouldn't complain. Your soul takes in what you feed it and either spits out a happy, dynamic person, a mundane, generic one, or a miserable one. Your perception of life regardless of outside forces is all that matters. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, among many others, lived through the horrors of a concentration camp by spending the hours of the day imagining himself playing the violin in full concert halls. Rose-colored glasses are great provided you keep your feet on the ground while you wear them. 4. Take regular inspired action via soulful pursuits. Until I was 28, I had a kind of buried self who didn't know she could do anything but make white sauce and diaper babies. I didn't know I had any creative depths. All I wanted was a little piece of life, to be married, to have children. The surface cracked when I was about 28. I had a psychotic break and tried to kill myself. Anne Sexton, when asked why she didn't start writing until she was 32, Paris Review, 52, 1968. The surest, strongest way to the soul is through the intense exertion of the physical senses. You have to reach deep inside to identify your soulful pursuits and do them regularly for the rest of your life as your life force, the things that will fill you up and renew you. The release of the natural potential energy that lives inside of you is the only route to happiness. Nothing else will do it. Most soulful pursuits are creative, physical, adventurous, exploratory, loving, and benevolent activities, things you love to do and do them for free just for the pure joy you get out of them, but the real trick is to figure out a way to earn your keep from them. Even if you can't figure out a way to earn a living, you must still do them passionately because these are the things that give you your lifeblood. For me, doing my soulful pursuits not only make me feel good by tapping into my natural store of endorphins, but they also build me up to a mastery level for a while, which is who I am, my identity, what I was born for. So my soulful pursuits are my life force. My life is always the game or the battle to be inspired enough to do them, which is not always easy because there are many distractions and hassles that can easily sidetrack you. The soulful pursuit is the elixir of the fountain of youth. All soulful pursuits are worth doing for the intrinsic value regardless of whether you're a master or a rank amateur. If one of your soulful pursuits is a form of physical activity, you get a double dose of fountain of youth both for your body and the freeing effects on the soul. The big kick about soulful pursuits is that they expend and renew you at the same time. It takes effort and you wear yourself out in the process but feel high doing them. Then after a bit of rest at night, you feel reinvigorated and all set to do them again the next day. The effects on the soul, hence the health and the immune system, are monumental. Just think like you're living to stay in a zone of perpetual high inspiration. I can do an intense bout of soulful pursuits via physical activities, then do a quieter different kind of soulful pursuit via creative, intellectual activities. This will fill your soul up, give you a sense of meaning, make you feel happy and relieve most of your stress, because while you're engaged in a soulful pursuit, all your problems fade away for that little envelope of time, and then when you're done, you'll see that your perspective has shifted, that all those little problems from the world don't matter all that much anymore because you've freed yourself. You're high on life for at least that little while during your engagement in your soulful pursuits, and afterwards when you're basking in the glow of having done something tough and worthy for the day. Timothy Leary and John C. Lilly explored their lives deeply, but they're not part of the psychobabble machine. They're free individuals attempting to find truth as they felt it in their souls, just like you should do the same. This is my truth. If you want to win at life, you must find your inspired soulful pursuits and live them out until the end. No other way can bring true honor or happiness to yourself. If you work a job you don't really like, no matter how successful you get, you'll still feel the emptiness of the unfulfilled soul. If you want to get to old age inspired and healthy, you must follow this path, but it's still not a guarantee. Many good people get cut down due to accidental misfortune, illness, or violence before their time, which is why I'm thankful I made it this far. Most soulful pursuits are simple and inexpensive. Just by sitting in one spot, you can create many things like self-acceptance, self-love, peace of mind, great stories, poetry, analyze your life, the state of the world, the state of anything. The world is an abundance of knowledge and ideas. You can learn them, analyze and possibly reinterpret them or add your own to the mix. You could draw, paint, do crafts with your hands, do something worthwhile with a computer, invent something, create music, play an instrument, sing, create a garden, build a house, map out an idea that the world needs for anything, be it a new product, a new way of doing things or looking at things. With a pair of sneakers, you can get some of the greatest highs in life by developing yourself as a runner, a hiker, or any type of athlete. Physical activity is a constant challenge. If you stray for a few days, you have to fight to get it back, and it'll never end until you die, but most people can't be bothered. They don't realize that your body and soul are all you really own. Think of it as the chase to live in the harmony of a cool song for the rest of your life, to release the natural energy within so intensely and beautifully that it creates a feeling so transcendent that it's right up there with the euphoria you get from those other few activities that shall remain nameless. This is why you'll see a lot of creative types stuck on their seemingly inane pursuits. It's their connection with that mystical, youthful, ever vital part of them called their souls, and really the only thing that matters. Creativity can be thought of as a way of thinking that goes beyond the conventional convergent mindset, but I see it more as a spiritual way of life, an attempt to reach transcendence through what you create within. When you're engaged in the creative act, your whole being is totally absorbed in the process through the inspiration you feel, being inspirited as the word means. I feel transcendent for a while, then when I finish, I come down and live in the mundane world, but I'm not feeling mundane because I'm still riding the afterglow of the high. As long as I'm aware enough to know that soulful pursuits keep me young and inspired, I make a conscious effort to do them all the time, and that's what keeps me feeling pretty good most of the time. Aside from the few people you might see writing about this process in the self-help section of the library, hashtag 155-158, you might find something in the psychology of art section, hashtag 701.115 or N71. Many people look to creativity and art as their freeing life force, the only thing that gives them meaning. This is one way to find transcendence in life: express yourself creatively. It's the process that counts. If you want to make a living at it, the marketing and sales part of it is a drag. I just like to create things and move on. After I do something, I don't care much about it anymore, like selling and promoting it, which we must do if we want to make a living in the modern world. Look at your soulful pursuits as your calling, your destiny, a dream state you enter when you engage in your version of the creative process, which is expressing the uniqueness in your soul. This is the only true fountain of youth in the world. Money can't do it. Romantic love and sex will release endorphins in your system. I look at them as another form of soulful pursuit in the sensual sector. The pursuit of love and sex come from the soul. I also believe that prayer, meditation, and other homages to God or the divinity within help produce a calming effect that is part of the fountain of youth of soulful pursuits. You have to release the natural energy in your soul. That's the basic requirement for feeling good about your life. The master learns to work on pure instinct, almost on an unconscious level, in a free, peaceful, smooth flow when he's engaged in the creative process full throttle. It's not only releasing the power within, it's a healing process. You heal and strengthen yourself every time you do it. 5. Try to reach the transcendent zone. I hear beyond the range of sound. I see beyond the range of sight. New earths and skies and seas around. And in my day the sun doth pale his light. Henry David Thoreau. As the artist passes from windy hilltop to green creeks and grazings, sometimes the bicycle sets him free. He sees it all afresh. Nothing has ever been written yet. The entire white paper of the world is clean for his special portrait of all hunger, all joy, and all vexation. Christopher Morley, The Romany Stone, 1926. Astound me, try your hardest. These last flashes of astonishment are what I cannot live without. Colette, Earthly Paradise. Try to take your soulful pursuits to a transcendent zone, to reach your highest vision of aesthetic beauty where you're feeling good most of the time and riding it. I get into my highest groove only when I do my soulful pursuits, mainly physical and creative activities, as intensely as I can, then rest and enjoy my life in the sensual aesthetic harbor for my soul. Often, after a day of high energy expenditure, a few beer, a few snorts or a few tokes are enough to catch a good buzz to relax well for the rest of the night. It's a two-pronged deal. You have to find those few soulful pursuits that you can do almost every day that send you into a little zone of full expenditure and euphoria for a little while, and by doing this, you expend and renew yourself at the same time, thereby feeling inspired, vital and calm for the rest of the day. The first prong is this daily ritual that keeps you feeling good throughout the day. The second prong is an ongoing, long-term thing where you try to achieve self-mastery and a full manifestation of your genetic seed through the constant expenditure of your soulful pursuits, such that you're riding high, feeling good, easygoing, and free most of the time because you're being you, living your life your way as fully as you want. Transcendence is a full expenditure of the natural energy within to make you feel great. It combines everything: soulful pursuits, physical, creative, exploratory, adventurous, benevolent, sex, love, rest and fun. Because we're restless by nature, free spirits can't stop for very long to rest on our laurels. Some of us are always trying for the perfect feeling of freedom, the perfect beauty which I define as a combination of fulfilling yourself spiritually by purging the inspiration in your soul to a high level, then counteracting it with the sensual pleasures of life. The creative free spirit seeks to free himself from the mundanity of life to touch beauty and transcendence, which I found comes from the fullest expression of my soul to an intense level, counteracted by equitable periods of peaceful rest and sensual renewal. Sex, love, romance, recreational drugs, booze, food, music, cheap thrills, trivial pursuits, etc. This is the transcendent zone, the mixture of inspiration, peace, love, sex, romance, and hedonism consciously lived to a reasonable max all the time. Because the body is the instrument through which we experience life, you can only get really high by doing something with it. Intellectual and creative pursuits are fine, but I never get near the intensity as I do through physical pursuits. There's nothing as intense and challenging as expending yourself physically somehow, and when you're done, after a few minutes of recovery, you feel great, free, like you've mastered yourself for the day. Some people say that the achievement of the transcendent zone is to come face to face with your God. It's the zest for living, doing something that ultimately results in a higher version of you, an inspired insight in some facet of life, be it creating a great song, helping hungry children, or running a faster mile. It comes when I find meaning within myself and express it, usually as intensely as I can. Transcendence is largely related to the release of endorphins and neurotransmitters in the brain, which help create feelings of euphoria. These endorphins are generally released through physical activity and creative pursuits, so that's part of the key to feeling good most of the time, the other part being love, sex, and romance, which cause the release of a few other endorphins, namely phenylethylamine, P, and oxytocin, of which I talk about in my love book. A wise old artist once told me that creative people try to free themselves from the mundanity of life by getting so absorbed in their work that they live in a little utopian, euphoric zone for a while. It's like they're releasing themselves from the mundanity of the world by entering this special zone where they can let their souls run full blast, wild and free. This is a very special, sacred event for these people. This is them in their entirety, what they were created for. They're capturing little moments of perfection during the course of the day. They're as close to their souls as they can get, living it right there, right then. For that time spent on those few soulful activities, they're perfectly being themselves, who they were meant to be, the way God created them. The release of the soul is the vision of aesthetic beauty made real, a feeling where you feel incredible and transcendent for a while. This is really being alive. We must strive to get this feeling on a regular basis because it taps into our souls and expends our God-given talents fully. We do our thing, get high, and know we've achieved our purpose for the day. This feeling is the spirit of life unleashed, and if you can tap into it to do something worthwhile for humanity, then all the better. When I'm in this state of expression, I'm as close to my God as I can ever be. It's great to feel this way. I get high and it fuels my inspiration for the rest of the day so that I can live in an almost perpetual zone of euphoria for a while. Transcendence is metaphorically soaring as your freest, most highly idealized, perfect self, being yourself, doing what you were created for, running with the wind as Pegasus the winged horse from mythology did so valiantly a long time ago, unfettered, wild and free. A definition of the transcendent zone is something like a great singer singing a great song, a great dancer going flawlessly through a dance, or some guy breaking the world record in the 100-meter sprint. When they hit it to open it up to touch deeply into the soul, that's the aesthetic connection that free spirits live for, and you can hold on to that feeling most of the time if you play your life out right. It's like full intense concentration and full relaxed enjoyment all at the same time. You're living out your essence. Try to live like this in your mind and through your actions all the time, sucking whatever inspiration you can get from the world to feed your own inspiration to keep grooving no matter what. An archetype of the vision of transcendent, aesthetic beauty is the vibrant, vital person either jogging on the beach or taking a romantic, carefree walk with his lover to a stunningly glorious backdrop of a magnificent sunset. Pop songs, TV commercials, movies, music videos, junk food, cruises, amusement parks, bungee jumping, etc. are designed to give you an easy, breezy, cool transcendent feeling for a few seconds, but they're all cheap imposters next to the real deal, a lifestyle of the soul. Creative people do what they do because they're trying to free themselves from a drab, mundane world, even though many don't even realize that this is the game, to get those freeing, transcendent highs when we're out in space somewhere, metaphorically soaring like Jonathan Livingston Seagull did way back when in 1973, when he decided to break from the pack to be himself, explore his life freely, test his limits, see who he was away from his relatives and friends. The journey to transcendence is an exponential thing. The closer you get to your perception of your mastered ideal self, the proportionately more intense your euphoric feelings get until you reach a peak, ride it for a while, get distracted or lazy, lose it, fall into a rut, then repeat the cycle all over again. It's just like an athlete training for a race, except that the race is your life. He trains, expends himself, then when he's in top shape, he gets a feeling of transcendence like he's walking on air, but because he's human, he gets lazy, slacks off, gets flat until he gets the inspiration to go for it again. This is the way life is lived for the inspired, enlightened person, a journey of effort and striving in those few soulful pursuits he or she deems worthy to reach a level of mastery and high feeling for a while, then the slack off as the mind drifts and wants diversion, then the cycle is repeated hundreds of times over the course of the lifetime run, although for most people, the vitality is lost at some point, whereupon they enter a pit of blandness, never to emerge again if they've ever had that feeling in the first place. 6. Youthful spark, sexual vitality, and inspiration. Youth means a predominance of courage over timidity, of the appetite of adventure over the love of ease. Anonymous. As in a swoon, one instant. Another sun, ineffable full dazzles me. And all the orbs I knew and brighter unknown orbs. One instant of the future land, heaven's land. Walt Whitman. Youthful spark and inspiration are the powers of the soul. Inspiration equals a sensation of vigorous youthful spark, which is the highest prize of life, so the game is to live the youthful flow via holding onto the sanctity of the soul no matter what. Inspiration comes mostly through spiritual, creative, and physical pursuits, and whatever inspiration I can suck from the world to feed my soul. Inspiration means that you're spirited about what you do. Even in the Bible over 2,500 years ago, the philosopher King Solomon reflected on youth in Ecclesiastes 11:9-10 and Ecclesiastes 12, saying, "Young people, enjoy your youth. Be happy while you are still young. Do what you want to do and follow your heart's desire. Don't let anything worry you or cause your pain. You aren't going to be young very long." He goes on to curse old age when your health and all your desires will go, which is why I consciously focus on keeping my health and desires young, strong, and active till death do me part. Oscar Wilde, an enlightened dude living in the Victorian era, wrote the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray about a guy who sells his soul for eternal youth. In my studies of aging and death, which I've written about elsewhere, I've read countless praises of the sanctity of youth, so I've concluded that this is it for all enlightened seekers: keep that youthful spark no matter what. Oscar eventually ended up selling his soul for his youth because he got in trouble following his sexual desires by taking on a young guy as a lover who was the son of a baron, and homosexuality was very much frowned on back then, so he eventually lost everything, went to jail, and died an early death at about 46 or so. The golden rule is I am who I am. Life is a short ride of feelings, so my creed is to stay forever young by staying inspired forever. The ancients worshipped inspiration and youth in their mythology through the likes of Apollo, Adonis, Aphrodite, Dionysus, and my old kindred spirit friend, Roman Senator Ovid, who wrote his Metamorphoses, the theme of which was pure eternus, eternal youth. The goal is to make it through with your soul intact. Answer the call of your soul, then you'll know you're following the right path regardless of what happens. In order for life to have true meaning, you have to feel right about what you do. Do something that inspires you, then relax and enjoy yourself. That's it, everything else is mundane in my view. Life is a process of aging. The calmer you get as you go through, the more vital you get, hence the younger you feel. Buddhists dedicate their lives to calmness within while we in the West strive for capitalist success. I've learned to live like a Buddhist, to be calm all the time no matter what. Free spiritism, living by the natural life flow within, is a balance of the release of the natural inspiration within counteracted by periods of rest and calmness, unlike capitalism which is go, go, go all the time. Buddhists got it half right, namely a dedication to calmness, but it took a capitalist hedonist like me to get it all right, namely that you don't get true happiness by sitting in one spot contemplating life. You have to take action via your soulful pursuits to stay inspired and young all the time, then you have to let out your sensual cravings for euphoric feelings one way or another. The world will always be the same, a mixture of good and bad things. Your job is to forget the bad, stick with the good. Keep that spark no matter what. Keep riding life. On any given day, we're all on the same level playing field, just making time in our lives. Someday, our generation, this time in history right now, will be relegated to an occasional 1-hour show on the History Channel. Nobody else in that future world will give a damn about this time period from the past, so, in essence, we live for ourselves. This is our time for life, and when it goes, it'll be gone. Nobody will give a damn but us who lived it. The one who's enjoying it most while it's happening is the one who lives the greatest life, not necessarily the one with the greatest amount of material possessions or illusory power over others. Everybody ages. The only winners are those who stay young and vital. I feed off the inspiration I get from all the other enlightened entities I come across, namely through inspired, funny people, good friends, music, a good story, a smile, a good conversation, a good piece of film, a good book, a feat of the spirit that I see on TV, seeing creative people being themselves without self-consciousness, people trying for something, people who have mastered a tough skill, a charismatic preacher preaching a good sermon, playing with my dogs, seeing a beautiful girl. With innocent beauty and beautiful people with beautiful souls in general. It's a mutual, karmic thing. Live for soul and release yours, thereby inspiring other people who inspire you with their soulful acts, and this is how it goes for me, always trying to stay one step ahead of mundanity in that inspired, euphoric headspace regardless of the generic routine I see around me all the time. Anything that feeds my spirit, I thrive on. If I'm not feeling inspired, I'm a useless, selfish dog who lays around and broods, so I consciously strive to be so strongly inspired that I have energy to burn both for myself and for the people around me. The game is to culture and cherish your youthful vitality by unleashing the freedom in your soul as much as you can with fervor, joy, and gusto all the time until you die. Find your soul, the real you, then pursue it with a vengeance. There's the real power of self-mastery from the soul and illusory power in the outside world which is not the real you. This illusory power and status out in the world will all go in the blink of an eye when you retire, but the real you never goes, it's always there. When the outside world fades away as it does every night, all you have is you, which is all you should really honor because it's all that really matters. In my research for my love book, by watching a newly crowned alpha male baboon flourish in growth and the coloring on his face which signifies vitality, I've come to conclude that sexual vitality breeds more sexual vitality, so the game is to stay youthfully vital if you want to mightily hold onto your most powerful primordial forces, your sex drive and your inspired life drive. Most people claim some sexual slowdown by 40, male and female alike, but you can be youthfully vital at any age. After youthful mindset, soulful pursuits, and physical activity, the other factors of youthful spark are low-calorie diet, music, pets, good quality relaxation, sensual pleasures, love, and sex. Youth equals virility, which equals sex, and the biggest ego trip for all of humanity is to be sexually attractive to the opposite sex, same sex if you're gay. Everybody wants it. It's really the hardcore real deal. If you stay young in spirit, you'll be vital sexually, and you can hold onto that spark forevermore if you will it so and follow it up with action. Once you look in the mirror and see a stressed out, chubby face, chubby gut, pasty countenance, balding head, graying hair, you know it's over, that your ability to attract anyone is gone. If, in fact, you've ever had it in the first place, and life is reduced to that of another generic, mundane clone brainwashed by the system to sell your soul for their formula of success. Think back to the first beautiful warm sunny Sunday of spring, or watch the simple, uncomplicated exuberance of a puppy dog. This is the way to live. Sexual desire for tight young bodies never changes. It's the universal constant. Everybody's attracted to young, beautiful bodies regardless of how old and dumpy they may be. So to my way of thinking, sex equals youth and youth equals sex, so sex is all about a youthful, vital body and soul, which means in order to maximally enjoy your sexuality, you gotta think young, act young, and live young. You're as young right now as you're ever gonna be, unless you live by the fountain of youth as described throughout this book and reverse the process. 7. Define the perfect feeling for yourself, a state of eternal divine inspiration. Keep your desire turning back within and be patient. Allow the fulfillment to come to you, gently resisting the temptation to chase your dreams into the world. Pursue them in your heart until they disappear into the self and leave them there. It may take a little self-discipline, but be simple, be kind. Attend to your inner health and happiness. Happiness radiates like the fragrance from a flower and draws all good things toward you. Allow your love to nourish yourself as well as others. Do not strain after the needs of life, it is sufficient to be quietly alert and aware of them. In this way, life proceeds more naturally and effortlessly. Life is here to enjoy. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, on the Bhagavad Gita, 1969. To see the world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. W.M. Blake. We are emotions, moods, and feelings. That's how we really live. It's not about dollars, cents, position, authority, goals, rational thought patterns, life strategies, 7 habits of highly effective people, goal-setting paradigms, managing your life or willpower. It's really about spirits on high, soaring like the wind, doing what you do mightily because you love it, not just plodding through it because you have to earn money or feel you have to be a winner in life according to some stupid standard the world tried to brainwash you with so the system could get to benefit from your efforts, then throw you out on the scrap heap of humanity once it was finished with you. It's enjoying the dance, doing what you were created for. It's not being a Spartan workaholic. It's enjoying what you do, going with the flow of it. The craving for the perfect feeling comes out in wisps in TV commercials like the ones about the Pepsi generation, easy breezy cool hair color, you deserve it because you're worth it, a surrealistic, cool music video, a TV commercial showing you a scrumptious, delicious coconut cream pie, but these only last for a minute or so, then we go back to working our jobs to be manipulated by these images again tomorrow night as we slave away for material success at the cost of destroying our souls. The perfect feeling is a feeling of lightness and ease, at peace with oneself. It's not a momentary thing like a runner's high, a sexual orgasm, the high of booze or drugs, the high of helping somebody, the joy of love, the pleasure of eating ice cream, a good talk, a great achievement, etc. It's kinda like an eternal spring of freshness, youth, and lightness in your step, a joy in your soul, a dance and a song quietly always churning away inside like a purring cat. It's a way of life that you have to culture. It's a softness of form, a relaxed face, a soft voice, a gentle manner, a nice body, which all give off the aura that you're happy with your life. You can't get it exclusively by the power of the mind. You have to get it through action, the action of working your body and caring for yourself such that you're slim, strong, and virile. Your mind, body, and soul are all you really own. All people who have less than strong, healthy, athletic bodies can never know the true beauty of the perfect feeling. Your body is so tied into your mind and soul that true happiness can only come from a strong fit body complemented by a strong mind and soul. Along with body, the other factor is to release your soulful energy on a regular basis, which keeps you feeling light, happy, and free. The ultimate way is the physical soulful creative mix through something like dancing or playing an instrument, which can be a workout in itself, particularly if you play something like drums. You're doing something physical and creative at the same time. I believe that a strong body leads to a strong mind, strong soul, a peaceful easy feeling and a benevolent nature, because you feel good about life, so you don't mind passing it on, both to share your energy and reap some of it back from other inspired people around you. This is what being a winner is, feeling good, passing it on and getting it back from the other winners around you. Regardless of what hardships may befall you in life, always remember to never stop the dance of life inside and express it on the outside through your mind, body, and soul. 8. Seek to earn your keep by mastering a soulful pursuit. The highest value you get out of your work is not really the money but what you become by it. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. Tears for Fears, song. Everybody wants to rule the world. Earn your keep by mastering a soulful pursuit to a worthy level for someone to get some use out of it. Do the right thing with who you are so you can help, amuse, or inspire people, so the money they give you will be your ticket to a good life for yourself, like Geronimo, the great Indian chief, said. While living, I want to live well. I know I have to die sometime, but even if the heavens were to fall on me, I want to do what is right. Find your soulful passions and figure out a way to parlay them into a means to get cash by filling a need or helping people in some way. It may not necessarily be a pure deal. Often you'll have to compromise, like the swimmer who becomes a swim coach or the animal lover who becomes a veterinarian. Although for me, I decided I wouldn't compromise, that I'd live my life out my way come hell or high water, so I ended up living like your typical artist does, what is poetically known as starving, but my spirit is bohemian. It's easy for a lone individual to be enlightened and free while the organized world system around him is repressed and neurotic in what it does and how its citizens approach life. But I'm warning you, you'd better have cast iron nerves of steel and a good dose of self-belief if you want to make it as a pure artist with something real to offer to the world to earn your cash, as opposed to being a pop culture gimmick, because the world is ruthless against original people unless you happen to be one of the rare lucky ones who gets an investor or benefactor early on. It's more about the art, inspiration, and lifestyle of it rather than letting the suits market you to the hilt until you don't know who you are anymore. But when you're making money, that image is the bottom line. The mentality of our system is such that you work to earn money to live a good life, but the mentality of an inspired free spirit is to work at what you love to do because it creates the most important thing within you: inner strength, power, inspiration, and spiritual aesthetics. We're aware enough to know that we must do what we love in order to win the game of life. Money is the standard of our capitalist system, there's no doubt about that, nor any doubt about the fact that money buys material freedom. But the problem starts when we cross the line in the sacrifice of our most precious commodity, time, in order to work dull jobs to acquire material things. Your reality is in your head. You don't really need much beyond the modest basics in order to be happy with the cash to do what you want to do when you want to do it within reason. Many artists, musicians, and free spirits in general don't make much money through their soulful pursuits, but they're aware enough to know that life goes beyond material things. If you're born with a song in your soul, you should consider it a divine gift and honor it no matter what. If you're lucky enough to have a soulful talent, nothing else should matter but to live it out. People like to be inspired by beautiful, aesthetic things or horrible things that make them see something new about the human condition, but it only encompasses a minimal part of life, and there are way too many starving artists out there struggling for a piece of this minimalist pie. So be ready for a battle if you want to take that route, even if you have exceptional talent, because the world is more concerned with practical things like cars, houses, food, bills, plumbing, etc. So seek what you love to do that can help people in a bona fide way by making their lives simpler, cheaper, easier, or better. One exception to this is the artist or creative type who can create a work of art so original, unique, different, and beautiful that ordinary people come out of the woodwork to buy it, as I've seen from time to time in the realm of crafts, music, the performing arts, and visual art. Barring one of the few who make it exclusively through their creative talents, like a great singer/songwriter or a great storyteller, Focus on tailoring your passions to fit into the real-world need of helping people in a real way somehow, and you can win the game by getting to do what you want and getting paid for it. The ideal lifestyle is to make money while being free to do what you like to do anyway, like an inventor, a self-employed lumberjack, a fish farmer, artist, freelance graphic designer, architect, craftsman, or a writer. That's the prize to shoot for. Or combine two things. Many people combine jobs they like to do along with their creative talents. There are hundreds of people who work part-time or seasonal jobs in things they like to do, then spend a few hours writing their music or novels at night or in their off time. It doesn't have to necessarily be aesthetically inspirational. I spent some time as a lumberjack because I wanted to live out the process of hard manual labor. I enjoyed the work, outdoors all day, expending myself in a basic, primal way. I worked for an escort service for a while, answering phones and driving girls around. It was fun until my boss got busted for living off the avails of prostitution. As long as you love it, it doesn't matter what you do. There are some interesting jobs out there. You just have to find them. Look at my job books and my business books. If you're an extreme artist who only wants to do your own thing, there's a good chance you might not eat anything beyond beans, rice, and popcorn unless you have the guts to redeem food stamps in public, which makes you feel like a pathetic dog. So you have to look at the marketplace, see what's selling, and come up with some kind of practical solution. You could spend part of your time true to your art and part of the time pumping out stuff for Joe middle class to make money. It should be something practical or functional art that sells cheaply. People will pay $25 for a nice lawn ornament or a nice picture, but that's it. So try to tailor your artwork to the middle class, who'll never appreciate true art anyway, nor be able to afford it, nor give a damn besides something that looks cool on their coffee table or their wall. So that's your market. If you come up with something cool and unique like a lava lamp or the psychedelic pastel posters of the past, you could get rich by licensing it out and selling it to major distributors. Think of something that inspires people. That's what they'll pay for. I read about one artist who painted cool-looking, inspirational, inexpensive paintings and sold them near a college campus to mostly students. He said he didn't have to sell them, they sold themselves. Make something so good and inspiring that it sells itself. Make the right painting, copyright it, get it printed onto posters, license it to sell worldwide, and you could make a lot of money like Roger Crumb did with his psychedelic art back in the 60s. The life of a free spirit can be a hassle because of financial need, except for the few who luck out with their talents, but even so, there are many who accept the lifestyle because it's all they feel within themselves that has any meaning. A free spirit is so inherently free that he simply must go his own way regardless of the consequences in the material world. I've lived out my stint as a struggling artist, but, as with the many out there like me, I realized that I can't change who I am. Time is all any of us owns, so I'll do whatever it takes to keep a pauper's roof over my head, but beyond that, it's life as it happens for what I feel within. Chapter 3. The Soul with People. 9. People are a constant meld of intimate connections and solitary lives all in one. Giving life is life-giving. To give is to receive. People want to be part of a community of souls, to feel connected with the universal life force through that part they share with other people. Aside from the need for intimacy, which is the kindred spirit soulmate thing with one or a few other souls, most people need to relate to the larger community, to somehow feel that they belong to something greater than themselves, presumably to share a kinship with their fellow man, but it could be simply weakness, people not strong enough to live it alone, to make it alone, so they look to other people, other institutions, sports teams, countries, or other things out in the world to fill them up. At the very least, there's a piece of you with your solitary desires and dreams that you have to fulfill alone, but there's also another part of you that wants love, acceptance, and friendship to keep you feeling good and connected to other souls. Love in its pure state to me is not really the self-centered conditional type of love espoused by the conventional system. Pure love is a general, unconditional love of life. You love your life so much and feel so good that you want to share it with people, pets, animals, nature, and society in general as a whole. True love in the God sense is loving the spirit of life so much that you want to pass it on and in turn receive some back. When we connect with others, feel them, get some feedback, we feel some inspiration and love from them, and conversely, we presume they feel some love and inspiration from us. This is one aspect of social interaction, people connecting with each other simply to help each other feel good and make the day pass more pleasant than if we kept to ourselves stuck in our own thoughts. In the old days, people needed other people to survive, with everybody in the family pitching in by doing chores in the household, but nowadays, you can be as self-sufficient as you want. Earn your money through your work, then simply pay people when you need help for just about anything in the world except love, but you can buy sex with a human being if you want it. Social interaction is as easy as a mouse click away on the internet, even if it is with strangers. They're intimate strangers. Because of the insecurity of following their own paths, many people sacrifice their individual identities to feel comfortable in the crowd. It could be anything like belonging to a fraternity, political party, religion, church, country, cheering for a sports team, etc. When all enlightened people know that these are artificial distinctions among humanity created by man, often to presume they're exclusive and better than others somehow, even if only implicitly so. You might play sports for a team or cheer for them, which may be all fun and good, but because it's competitive by nature, to me it ruins the spirit of it, because you're trying to show superiority over the other guy even though on the surface you feign sportsmanship. If you go to any lodge meetings, fraternity meetings, or anything like that, there's usually a pecking order based on status in the so-called real world, with an in-crowd and the nerdy outsiders trying to get in. I generally only see true kinship among groups of people in either the creative or religious sectors, or among partners working for a successful company where everybody's thriving. It would be nice to be in a group of people united for a relaxing, inspiring time where everybody's having fun and nobody's trying to be superior to impress other people, be the macho stud, sexy bombshell, or the rich, powerful guy of the bunch to perk up their egos, but I don't see it much. I generally only see this in a few places, like a choir singing, a band or orchestra playing, a theater group performing a show, an egalitarian company, native Indians at one of their powwows, a motorcycle rally, or people gathered for a common benevolent theme like a church congregation at mass, or people enjoying themselves in the hedonistic pursuit of life for a while. Occasionally at a resort or at a party, you'll get a group of people on the same wavelength, with everybody having a good time, nobody trying to show off or have sex with somebody who's already spoken for, but I've seen ego, envy, and violence time and time again in what starts off as a celebration or a party. Mix in the booze and drugs and a bunch of fragile egos, and sooner or later someone will disrespect someone else, someone will wrongly see something as a gesture of disrespect or try to make a move on someone's girl, then there are words exchanged which escalate and the fun is gone. It would be nice to find a group of friends you can hang with, all united to have a good time without pretenses involved, but it's rare in the real world, because at about the age of 25 or so, when men are expected to enter the so-called real world of work and responsibility, they all of a sudden put the mask of status and social responsibility on, get distant from their friends, and start to live as little islands, preoccupied with measuring up to the world's standard of success as defined by capitalism. It's too bad, but this is the way it is, which is why we're really all a bunch of loners acting like we're connected to the greater whole of society. When the President of the United States makes his State of the Union address, I don't feel a kinship with him. I feel an artificial mix of ego and politics, with all the king's men sitting in place like a bunch of clones in their elitist world, each plotting their own personal little schemes on how to get re-elected, topple the king and get more power for themselves. So it's not there, but I do feel a need for this feeling sometimes, which is why I like to catch a buzz or occasionally do leisure activities with my free-spirited friends in a relaxed setting, so we can rap about life and break bread without any pretenses for a while. The other way I feel a kinship with humanity is through my work. By writing this book, I'm sharing what I have for what it's worth with the rest of humanity, because I feel I have something useful to offer in the exercise known as the exploration of my life, and I want to share it with others. I very rarely feel the kindred spirit thing on a group level with any more than 5 people around because ego and status come into it for girls and guys alike, all secretly competing with each other as to who looks better, who's more successful, who's got the best spouse, etc. This is why the hippies were so successful for a while. People wanted to get away from the competitive nature of capitalism to break bread and share life together, but man's nature of capitalism and materialism eventually won out, such that now, we're all a bunch of loners sitting in our houses with our comfortable things without anybody real to share them with. 10. Cooperation, friendship, and peace are the maturity of the soul. A true friend is one soul in 2 bodies. Aristotle. Treat people as if they were what they ought to be and you help them to become what they are capable of being. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We look at ourselves through rose-colored glasses. We look at everybody else through a magnifying glass. Help one another every day. Hebrews 3:13. I say we're all self-centered by nature, but it doesn't mean you have to be a jerk about it. You got your world, your plan, your territory. Everybody else has got their territories too, but during the course of the day while you're around other people, the best way to make allies and get some benefits for yourself is to be nice and befriend as many as you can by helping them in some way, because you can never have too many friends because you never know when you'll need them. Plus it's more peaceful if you're friendly with the people around you rather than fighting with them. On top of all that, we are all taught to be noble despite our self-centered natures. This is why they drilled religion into us. We're supposed to grow up to be noble beings who do great things to help the world because this is what heroes do and it's the right thing to do too. If God gave me gifts, I must use them for good, to help others. I sincerely felt this after several people thanked me for helping them. It might sound corny, but I think maturity is when you get over your self-centered life and stop being so cynical because the world isn't the way you want it to be and just do something about it in your own way. I eventually realized that a lot of people are worse off than me by birth alone. I have good health and brain power. A lot of people don't. I can curse the wind or be thankful for my life and actually do something with it to help people because I should. If I was endowed with certain abilities, what else can I do? I can't squander them on myself because it doesn't satisfy me and I have few needs from the material world. I'd like to add my voice to help the human race because it needs help from whoever is strong enough to give it. I feel like I owe it to God. If He gave me certain gifts, my responsibility is to use them for the good of my fellow man. I started feeling like this only after I started realizing that a lot of people didn't have the great power I did while I was a special ed teacher, and it continued after when I helped normal adults working regular jobs who still struggled with basic reading skills. I believe that the world is abundant, which is why I prefer cooperation, everybody working together for our mutual benefit. Instead of working against the guy who's also doing what I do to make money, I unite with him, we work together sharing our profits equitably, the win-win scenario where everybody wins and there's a lot less stress. In a capitalist world, the game is materialism, physical and sensual pleasures which all figure prominently into the youth of life, but if you run long enough, you realize it's not enough. There's a bigger world of the inner self, a quiet, humble understanding of life and the world, a desire to give worth to yourself in a spiritual way. The material things by themselves always leave you empty. You need some kind of inner peace within yourself and with the world. You have to accept the fact that the world has many horrible things about it, but find some goodness in it for your own sanctity as a human being. The easiest way to describe maturity is to get your ego out of your system. Capitalism is based on ego, that's the name of the game: win, beat other people, make lots of money and show it off by buying a big house, driving a sports car, wearing the latest fashions, talking on your cell phone in public, etc. We live in a system that tells us to race against others, beat them, then stand on a pedestal as number one alone with our stupid egos. This is wrong. You don't have to compete with other people nor beat them. There's such a thing as cooperation where everybody works together and wins. There's enough for everybody, especially if they all work to help each other. Your unique soul says you were born with unique strength, and by the natural order of things, your job in life is to honor it without self-aggrandizement or ego getting in on it. In other words, you don't aspire to be something in the world because of your ego to be famous or revered by others. You do it because it's your duty to your soul and the spirit of life. You simply fulfill your life's duty, which is the craving in your soul because of your harmony with the natural order of your life. I never wanted to compete in grade school, but they made me. I just wanted to live a peaceful life having fun with my friends, but they made me compete in grade 1 where everybody got a star on a Bristol board if they got all their homework right. Then at the end of the month, the kid with the most stars got a useless toy. Then they ranked everybody academically, so the first 3 or 4 kids got a superiority complex while the last 3 or 4 got an inferiority complex. Why rank people at all? Education is meant to be enjoyed for the intrinsic benefit. It's not a commodity meant to be chopped up into subjects then tested on. When I went to a military college, because I was bigger than the average guy, they made me play football even though it was the furthest thing away from my true nature, to hit other people in the name of sport. But I'm only human, I got brainwashed like everybody else. I played the game of notches for a while, win at all costs, get what you can, then show it off and act like a cool dude as defined by the system, namely drive a sports car and wear so-called fashionable clothes plastered all over with logos to show others that you fit into this yuppie concept of cool as defined by stupid TV commercials. Once you reach true maturity in life, you realize it's not a race or contest with anyone else or even yourself, that everyone lives the same journey of time despite what airs they put on for the world, that everyone gets lonely, tired, weak, and wants the same things as everybody else, namely a full life, health, love, peace and happiness, even though most don't know how to get it. For me, it happened when I finally realized I have absolutely nothing to prove to anyone out there except to honor myself, to strive to live a good life. I don't care what people think of me or say about me. I realized contests or winning some event don't matter. What really matters is that you keep challenging yourself to honor your true intuitive standard for the rest of your life. Most people won't. They'll lose their true essence at some point in time. Enlightened people know that life is a dance, that you're always stuck in your head, so the game is to groove to the music and dance around, not overly concerned with where you'll end up when the music stops, because it's all about the dance, enjoying the journey, not racing through the music as quickly as you can to get to some illusory finish line. After I could see clearly past the brainwash of the world, I realized regardless of how much money I have, I'm still stuck in my head, which is my soul and consciousness, which never changes much and determines my happiness. I decided to reject the world agenda and live for myself. I'll offer my creative wares on my own terms, but I'll never play the material world game, capitalist competition, beat 'em all, be number one. This creates stress and enemies. There's plenty for everyone as long as your product is your own unique brand of quality and worthwhile in some way, not just a piece of frivolous hype like a model's portfolio of cutesy pictures, a music video that's a piece of softcore porn, or another piece of generic fiction. Why fight? It's better to help people win, then they give you money, become your friends, and everybody wins. It's not really about winning to be number one. It's about being number one to fulfill your purpose, spreading your joy and beauty around to help others feel like they're number one, then they like you, help you, and give you money and or friendship for your help. I choose to live in my own space, in happy thoughts. I don't let the world pollute me in anything, particularly the agenda of making lots of money for its own sake whilst destroying my soul and wasting my time in the process. If you can't be polite to other people, at least keep your negative vibes to yourself. Angry people put other people down because there's something missing inside of them. Hurt people lash out acting angry, evil, and scornful, but it's all part of the pain of an unfulfilled life. That's all it is. Most people suffer from this affliction of an unfulfilled life, but the sad part is that we live in a society hooked on materialism that tries to make us feel inadequate if we don't have a certain level of consumeristic success. So there are many brainwashed people out there destroying their lives because they aren't satisfied that even the most modest among us in America still have a better life than all third world countries and all of past history. You must get over the fact that life is what you own and replace it by what's in your head. 11. Share your soul with people, pets and all life. No man can sincerely help another without helping himself. Stay humble so you can share your life with other people. Arrogant people eventually get rejected by everybody. Free spiritism depends on interdependency, people sharing their thoughts with one another with no agenda beyond a mutual exchange of ideas to better themselves and the world at large. The ultimate goal or need in life for most people is to share our lives with some manner of living being, be it person, pet, wild animals in nature, or even plants, as some people do with their gardens. We couldn't have survived without our mother's love for the first part of our lives, and this carries on for most of us into adulthood. We need to give love and be loved, to share our lives. If you want someone or something to love you, love them first. I try to make friends and allies wherever I go by consciously trying to be a friend, to help people, socialize, be pleasant around them, make small talk and give them encouragement to make the day go better. The best gift you can give to anyone is a gift of yourself, your time to talk, help, and be a general all-around good, upbeat person. You make friends by giving of yourself, disclosing personal things about yourself, being honest and trustworthy, which are built up over time and experiences together. Share your life with joy and that joy will be returned to you. Most people do it by direct interaction with other people. Many people do it out of indirect action, like the artist creating beautiful works of art to pass his vision on to others, the obsessed scientist quietly slaving away to find a cure for a disease or to better the world somehow, the business owner who thinks he's doing it for the money but he too is trying to better humanity with new products to make life better, or the many people in obscure backrooms everywhere trying to do something positive with their lives to share with the world. Most of us need to feel a part of humanity somehow, both by direct personal interaction with others and also by expending our souls in the service of humanity to help and inspire people somehow. Share your soul with good people, kindred spirits, soulmates, and pets to give them power and inspiration, the process of which automatically unconsciously comes back to you, often multiplied. Look for the good in people without being naive and you can't go wrong. To err is human, to forgive, divine. People make mistakes and see things differently than you. Go easy, respect others and always try to be a positive force no matter what. Look at yourself as powerful, healing, inspiring energy and all interactions with people as mutual nurturing, healing, inspiring, strengthening, empowering loving actions. Just about any time you show love, kindness, and joy to anyone and help them in some way, however insignificant, either by loving them for them, accepting them for who they are, helping them in a practical way, or inspiring them somehow, you share the light of your soul. Oftentimes you don't realize how much you're helping somebody unless they thank you for it. People treat you like you treat them. Most try to help you back or thank you if you help them. All people, no matter how smart or stupid, have a built-in judgment system whereby they're checking you out the moment you meet for the first time and subsequent times to see if you're friend or foe, good or bad, ally or enemy, stable or loose cannon, in a good, sociable mood or angry, tired, and antisocial. They quickly decide whether they should get to know you better or stay away until they're sure of your true intentions, either a safe, positive force or somehow negative and parasitical, wanting something from them. This is the test every human being uses with every other in every contact all the time, friend or foe, positive or negative, even in the search for romantic love. Simply know that sharing your soul with other people through friendly contact will get you all the love, peace, and success you'll ever need. Make friends by being a friend. The Christian Bible and every major religion lives by this maxim, the golden rule: treat others like you want to be treated and life will go better for you. Even if you don't really like someone or have to fake it sometimes, Stay gentle, calm, peaceful and loving for those few extra minutes without degenerating into sarcasm, and you might make a friend instead of eternal wrath from an enemy. At the very least, keep your mouth shut when you feel like saying something ugly. That's how life works with people. Little acts of kindness and courtesy return the favor, build up goodwill and trust until there's a mutual friendship and respect there. Although the purest type of love is loving people for everything they are, even the bad stuff. If you can selflessly love other people regardless of their faults, you're one of the few pure saintly souls on the planet. It's not easy, but it's a good ideal to go for peace of mind because you've got good relations with everybody no matter what. Approach life with an easy attitude of being friendly, loving, and kind to yourself and others, and you'll win the game with yourself and the world. Plain and simple, we all want to share our lives with other people and even pets if we get lonely for human companionship in this generally cold, solitary world where we're conditioned to mind our own business and keep our distance in public. People connections allow you to share the flame in your soul with others, thus keeping you inspired and powerful in the process. The act and art of talking is a benevolent, creative process where you release your spiritual energy onto others in a positive way, thus making you feel good for the moment. People want and need to inspire others and feed off the inspiration of others. To give is to receive. Whenever you're involved in the act of being with others as a good friend or helping them in some way, even if it's as minor as giving them a lift through 2 minutes of superficial conversation or a simple greeting, you get powerful and feel strong subconsciously in an unself-conscious way without even realizing it's happening to you. It's automatic. Our days are long. If you don't break up the routine and the solitude, no matter how inspiring and positive your work is, with sporadic conversations with other people, both superficial and profound, life loses some luster. We want to share our solitary lives with other people by connecting with them through random conversations throughout the course of the day. This is one of the reasons why the internet is so powerful. People can talk to anyone anytime they want, and it doesn't matter how they look, how much money they have, etc. We keep each other inspired and connected to humanity by our conversations. You can't get it through TV or mass media. You have to connect with real live human beings in order to get the fullest expression of your life. Share yourself with people, they share themselves with you, together you empower each other and have some fun together. This momentary power of the human connection is good to help keep you feel inspired, loose and stable, but it has to be replenished all the time. Just like I strive to do my soulful pursuits on a regular basis, I also strive for meaningful contact with people to give my power to them and feed off their positive energy. This is basically what friendship is, connecting on a regular basis. In the end, your job in life is to find the power inside of you and use it to earn your keep, but more importantly, do whatever it is that you do out of love, so you use the love inside to help and connect with other people, because this is what also gives you a good feeling inside, connecting with other people in a worthwhile way. 12. Humor, joy, and an easygoing manner keep the soul light, young, strong and free. God made me to laugh so that all that hear may laugh with me. Genesis 21:6. The greatest way to live is with a smile on the inside, a song in your soul and a sparkle for life. With your joy for life, pass your sparkle on to others and it'll come back to you. Norman Cousins was a doctor diagnosed with cancer who decided to fight it, so he laughed himself to a cure by watching funny movies, Three Stooges, Marx Brothers, etc., then became a proponent of the holistic movement in the late 70s before it came into vogue through his book The Anatomy of an Illness, 1979. A light, easy, pleasant, enjoyable feeling keeps the soul soaring on high. To go through life with this poetic type of light-hearted outlook would indeed be a charmed, lucky, gifted journey. I'm not talking humor in the form of crude, obnoxious, loud, overblown, sarcastic type of laughter. I'm talking about a quiet, peaceful, light, easy feeling about yourself and your conscious efforts to enjoy your life all the time, each and every day. A happy heart heals the mind, body, and soul. Laughter and humor help make a person healthy. It's that simple. Look at laughter as the music of the soul, one of the keys to inspiration, youth, vitality, and longevity. It keeps you on good terms with people too, because anyone would rather be around someone upbeat and happy rather than be around somebody neutral with no emotion either way or miserable. 13. Find a worthy soulmate equal to share your soul with. The 13th factor is to share yourself with one or any number of soulmates and kindred spirits as discussed in my love book. I'll put one of essays here about love from that book. The most wonderful of all things in life, I believe, is the discovery of another human being with whom one's relationship has a glowing depth, beauty, and joy, as the years increase. This inner progressiveness of love between two human beings is a most marvelous thing. It cannot be found by looking for it or by passionately wishing for it. It is a sort of divine accident. Sir Hugh Walpole. A soulmate is someone who has locks that fit our keys and keys to fit our locks. When we feel safe enough to open the locks, our truest selves step out and we can be completely and honestly who we are. We can be loved for who we are and not for who we're pretending to be. Leslie Parrish in The Bridge Across Forever, a love story by Richard Bach. Romantic love just happens. Relationships are built. Everybody wants their equal in life, somebody that they know in a second has some unexplainable, mystical, preordained connection with them, somebody who completes and complements them, two pieces of a whole, two peas in a pod so to speak. Instantly you think you were meant for this person and they think the same about you. It's an exciting feeling because it's so intense and all-consuming. You can't help it. Your soulmate is a reflection of your soul. Your true soulmate has the exact same soul as you do. That's all that really matters in the game of love, to search for someone who comes along who finally feels like you do about things and probably looks like an opposite sex version of you, that is, someone with roughly the same qualities in the following areas. Instant mutual attraction to one another based on sensing that you have similar souls and have the same level of physical look and body beauty. Amount of vitality they have. Health. Clothes you wear, what social group do you identify with? Status, what kind of car you drive, the way you talk, where you think you are in the pecking order of society. Mental temperament. How independent are you from cultural brainwash, or how much of a pop culture clone are you? Age. Skin color. Racial origin. Religion. Socioeconomic class. Attitudes in life. Moral values. Intellectual level. How curious are you about life itself? Level of achievement in the world. Geographic area. How close do you live? Is it country versus city, big city versus small town, on the coast vs. the mountains, etc.? I knew one guy who had been married once, had 2 kids, was with her for 14 years, but when he met this other one, it was all over for him. Even though he was a nice guy at heart, he had to tell his first wife it was over, then went on to marry the other one. He told me he felt like a loner all his life until he met the second one, even though he had been married for 14 years to the first one. This is what soulmate love is, you know it and feel it, not like most couples who have a percentage of it, like maybe 50 to 80%, but very rarely do you see that 100% instantaneous thing. We all dream of the perfect romantic love, of meeting someone somewhere, and when you make eye contact for the first time, there's that instantaneous rush of intense attraction that goes down into the core of your soul like a bolt of lightning, and you know that they're feeling the exact same thing as you, kinda like, finally, someone like me, where have you been all my life? Bells, whistles, and some love song goes off in the background of your mind. It's called animal magnetism, primal attraction, when the earth shook, when time stood still, a buzzing in your ears, a train going through your head. Many cliches have been written about it, but the most important thing is that it's your instincts telling you that he or she's got good genes. It's like a meeting of souls. It's so deep even words can't describe it, and it's rare, often relegated to our fantasies and a few moments in movies, but it does happen. Go back to the Thornbirds when Father Ralph as a young priest first laid his eyes on Maggie as a young girl about 8 to 10 years old. There's a scene in there when he's staring at her with that watery soft look of love in his eyes. This is that pure mesmerizing love we all crave. If you get this feeling just a few times in your life, you're way lucky because it's rare. I've gone for years without seeing anybody that inspires this feeling out of me, but I've felt it a few times. I keep going back to that line I heard somewhere because it's so true: love lies buried in the soul until awakened by an object worthy of desire. It's like a lightning bolt of electrodes hit your brain and put it on high activity mode. It's natural, it can't be forced. It either happens at 100% full intensity in the first few seconds you see someone for the first time, or it doesn't. They either rock your world immediately or they don't. Anything less equals lukewarm love and ulterior, less romantic motives like getting sex or a provider until the next one comes along. It's more like, he's alright, rather than, wow, I just met my wife. Love is like falling asleep. The harder you try, the less you can do it. It has to happen spontaneously out of the blue in a cloud of passion from the soul. From the beginning, if two people find each other, they should feel they're cut from the same cloth right from minute one. It's a comfort that you know he or she is like you, thinks like you, and sees the world like you do. Everybody wants the love of their parents in their partner. You think like you're superglue, attached right into each other. Love may take work, but it's supposed to be soft, passionate surrender. That's the only thing that really matters. You feel inseparable, each a part of the other. If you have to work hard at it, it's not love. It should be an easy, flowing thing. Most men work all the day, they don't want to work when they go home at night. They want easy love. If you want to drink out of the cup of the elixir of love, you have to pick the right one up front. Someone with a beautiful, innocent soul into whose eyes you can see forever. For me, the only rule is that her heart must live inside mine, and I must take the attitude that nothing will ever come between us as long as we both keep the code. People want to be touched deeply and swept off their feet. One time, I walked into a 7-Eleven store not thinking much about anything beyond getting a bottle of pop. I was kind of looking down, not towards the counter, but when I looked up, I gave myself away because of the immediate googly-eyed gesture I made, like, wow, who the hell are you? I was caught off guard. It was a soulmate girl behind the counter wearing those generic frocks they wear with shorts on and unkempt long brown hair. Despite the frock, I could tell immediately that she was like an opposite-sex version of me, a free-spirited, independent type unconcerned about the world agenda. We stared at each other for about 20 seconds until she moved to serve a customer. This is the real deal, that 1 second, instantaneous, lightning bolt attraction that there ain't nothing you can do about. It just happens. You feel her soul. You feel like you've finally met someone like you, your soulmate equal. You stare at each other wide-eyed, electrically charged for several seconds, then, if you have any savoir-faire, you move in to make contact. I contend that everybody is a romantic spirit, at least in the privacy of their minds, but to show it to other people is another thing altogether. I was watching a documentary about people dying, and one of the several stories they were covering was a 60-ish guy with cancer. He told the doctor he wanted to tell his wife that he really loved her, which he had never been able to, and as a result, a wall developed between them over the years. This guy is on his deathbed. So the wife came in, the doctor stood in the background and watched them play out the old superficial script with each other. The guy couldn't break down and tell her what he really felt. If you're a lover of beauty, you will come across many beauties, and just like art, beauty is beauty, one is not better than the other. You will see a few soulmate type girls every year or two if you're lucky. I never stayed with any of my former flames because I was a restless spirit who had to go out and make my own way in the world, and even now, I'm still caught in the conflict between a free exploration of my life and the need for love, which will probably never end for me because I want both. King Solomon had his 300 wives and his 700 concubines, which gave him his sensual thrills, and then he met the beautiful Queen Sheba, who he wrote his Song of Songs to, up ahead in the Christian section. Even though he reportedly fell in love with one woman, he was still the archetypal man, he wanted a glorious monogamous love but wanted his harem on the side for random sex whenever he felt like it, and this is it. Every man has to decide if he will sacrifice some of his sex drive to be in a monogamous relationship. This is what it will cost, because a monogamous relationship is much more than sex and you have to play along if you want it. Chapter 4. The Soul as Spirit. 14. Use God as the divine force in your soul. What you think about immortality will determine how you live. You should live as though you have an eternal soul created by God, even though none of us know for sure. Think that you're part of a creator/universal life force who created you to have a divine mission here on earth. Then when your work is done and the body is used up, you simply discard it and your soul merges back with your creator in another form in some heavenly place somewhere. Think that God's power is flowing through you when you do your soul work. Your soul is God and God is soul in the sense that his divine spark or handiwork created everything that's natural and real in the universe, except for man's folly, which was created out of man's own personal, individual free will. Your soul is the most divine, transcendent, thing you own. So to my way of thinking as a spiritual free spirit, I choose to believe that I'm part of a higher power. It's not necessarily Christian or any other religion, but I was created by something greater than me that gave me a divine soul which was my light and purpose when I was born, and my only choice if I'm to stay bathed in this higher eternal light is to live by soul which is a part of him, follow my purpose, be a light to the world somehow. Then when I die and leave this shell called my body, I'll know that I will have lived with the clearest, purest conscience I could have and will somehow merge again with my Creator in a manner unknown to me. This fits loosely with Christian ideology and many other religious ideologies. It's the path I've chosen for myself as a spiritual free spirit who uses religion and some sensible New Age philosophies like the concept of karma to help keep me inspired, peaceful, happy and loose. It works for me. Life is better if you believe you're a part of something greater than yourself that you'll merge with when you leave this earthly plane. Regardless of whether I'm feeling weak or strong, I simply imagine myself standing naked looking up smiling while his radiant light bathes, heals, and empowers me with strength, inspiration, love, peace and vitality, and it helps keep me strong as I go through life day by day. Think that your soul is made up of your God. That's the divine part of you that emanates divine light and fire from your being through your eyes to the outermost parts of your being. Think of your God as the universal life force, that divine part of the universe that created you, is you, and inspires you, constantly shining light and showering radiant sparks into your being as you look up into heaven. Bathe yourself in that healing, glowing, empowering flow of love, peace, radiance, and beauty that we call God, what the Buddhists call satori, what yogis call samadhi. The Hawaiians have 3 facets of kahuna or 3 parts of the soul, surfingforlife.com. The conscious mind, ego, uhane. The unconscious mind, soul, uniapili. The superconscious mind, the feeling of the divine force of God within us, amakwa. Almost nobody talks about this third state of consciousness. Some people actually claim to see and feel this divine force in the form of visionary bright lights and the apparition of Jesus, Mary, or some other ascended master appearing before them. I use the divine force that could be out there as a tool of inspiration, to constantly feel that I'm being bathed in the life force of the universe which is guiding me to live a good, solid, worthy, happy and fulfilled life doing my divine mission here on earth, which is to reach the furthest depths of my soul. Uncover it, then live it out to your satisfaction. Simply feel like you're meeting your God face to face, talking to him, which is what prayer is anyway. Your soul is individual and divine. When you connect with the divine force within, your individual self is taken by the divine presence for a while into a transcendent state which is beautiful, enlightening and inspiring. You become part of the natural order, a part of what God created within you. This is the prize of life, to try to get this feeling of union with God and all life everywhere as much as you can. Open yourself up to the power of God and the universe. With this power within you, have no fear of people or life itself. Be a positive force to the world and watch it come back to you, because you're living by the law of the universe, by the light in your divine soul. Don't fear death. Just as you came into this world with nothing but a divine spark from your God, be ready to leave it to return to this universal divine presence. In between that time, use your divine spark to light the divine sparks of all life everywhere, and you will have lived according to the universal law of life. Try the following books. The Varieties of Religious Experience by William James. Ecstasy, a study of some secular and religious experiences by Margonita Lasky. Revelation, The Divine Fire, 1973, by Brad Steiger. 15. The Pursuit of Aesthetic Beauty Nurtures the Soul. The Fifth Avenue entrance to the New York Public Library has an inscription that reads, "Beauty, old yet ever new. Eternal voice and inward word." When you reach that stage where you say screw it all, I'll live freely for the beauty and art within me and for whatever aesthetic sensual beauty I can suck out of my life regardless of what's happening around me, you've reached a state of enlightenment. But then the challenge becomes one of culturing the soul to live in the ebb and flow of inspiration, relaxation, and the pursuit of beauty day after day. For creative, free-spirited people, the beauty of life is the elixir of life. You simply choose to dedicate your life to all you perceive as beautiful, kinda like the Stephen Dedulu's character in James Joyce's Portrait of the Artist as a young man in the beach scene near the end, which was his epiphany, throwing off all the influences of his past to live for his perception of truth, beauty, and perfection. Once you develop that attitude to live for the beauty of life, no matter what, you've found Shangri-La. You have to take a don't give a damn attitude that no matter what happens to you, at the end of the day, you'll still try to get some aesthetic beauty out of the deal one way or another. Beauty nourishes the soul. Beauty is life's expression of all that's good and transcendent in the soul. Find what's beautiful in you and to you and culture it all the time. It's the only way you're gonna win the game of life. Beauty is just your version of trying to touch God, and that's what life comes down to. Trying to get back to that perfect feeling of being home in some heavenly perfect place with your God. To capture the beauty that's in your soul is the great art of life. 16. Live in peace and moderation. Don't exploit life or take it unnecessarily, be it person, animal, plant, or the substance of the earth. If it's not bothering you, leave it alone. This, to me, is the universal law of nature. If you have to eat or need a place of shelter, take what you need and leave the rest. Don't exploit others, animals, plants, or even the substances of the earth like water, the air, or the minerals. When you take something for sport, such as in hunting or bullfighting, you inherently know deep within yourself that you're violating some code of life and it's wrong. Live and let live. God didn't create horses to race each other around a track. That's exploitation. It's not a noble sport for the wealthy to dabble in and think they're fashionably cool. Get a clue. When you take more than you reasonably need of anything in any capacity, you intuitively know you're violating the harmony of life. This applies to both living in excessive splendor while you know that someone somewhere is starving, and in stripping the earth's resources for your own profit with wanton disregard for replenishing it. It's simple. Your God gave you a code of ethics, already formed inside of you when you were born. If you listen to it to live in harmony with yourself and with the world, you'll have a clear conscience and there will be harmony in the world. But if you deny it and follow what the supposed world ideology is nowadays about being successful as defined by acquiring material things and developing a facade that you're superior to others by virtue of skin color, nationality, culture, wealth, level of schooling, rank, job, clothing, political affiliation, size of house, type of car, or any other illusion the world system might have created for itself, or otherwise try to acquire some kind of power over other people, the balance will be upset and the world will be in a mess, much as it is now. 17. Have a harbor for your soul. Have a harbor for the soul. We all have the need for relaxation, passive time spent in idle contemplation and mindless, sensual fun to renew yourself. A passage in the book of Corinthians in the Bible states that in order for a man to master himself, he must be temperate in all things. The capitalist corporate world of the standard work ethic is geared for you to be busy, busy, busy thinking you're accomplishing something worthy when most of what you do is self-induced hysteria as though you're on a hamster wheel going around in circles. We're born free and relaxed as kids, but capitalism comes in and fills us up with all this stuff called ambition and production, such that many of us lose ourselves to the struggle of the paper chase, the name of the book and movie that demonstrate this point so poignantly, how most of us lose ourselves to things that are artificial to our true souls. An authentic life can only be lived freely by your natural flow, not stressed out in some job you don't really like. When you tap into your natural cycles, go hard when you feel inspired, then knock off when you want a rest. Life goes a lot better than if you go hard until you invariably crash for a while, or just keep going until you drop of exhaustion/heart attack as some people do. Don't live for trivial details. Live for the bigger, more grandiose spiritual concept your life is supposed to be. Be visionary as opposed to bureaucratic. The irony of the current world is that instead of cell phones, fax machines, computers, etc. saving valuable time, they've simply made us busier such that we try to do more and take all these gadgets for granted. Your mantra in life should be to live to enjoy the moment, not to go so fast with our illusory goals that we forget to stop and cherish our lives, and this applies to the creative arts and the supposedly positive things too. Being too intense creatively or exercising too much can be just as bad as doing some capitalist job too much. Temperance and retreat into your harbor are the keys to a balanced life. Many creative people get so engrossed in their soulful pursuits that they burn out, but as I've aged, I'm more temperate and rest more, unlike before when I was on the go all the time, even at night. You have to do some things for the pure mindless pleasure you get out of them, even though they may not develop you in any way, or simply have to sit around to recharge your batteries. When I feel lazy, I sit around, watch TV and do sensual things for days on end until I get my fill, then get back into my normally inspired lifestyle. It's necessary to sit around doing nothing much, because whatever is important to you eventually comes flooding to the surface. Just like bears hibernate, I also believe in periods of hibernation to slow the body and mind down to a complete standstill for a while to help preserve me for the long run. You need a harbor for your soul, a place you can go to rest and recharge. You have to get away from it all every once in a while to take it easy, reevaluate your life, and come to a new, revised center of who you are, what you want, and where you want to go as a person. The enlightened person knows it's all about cycles, periods of production and vitality followed by periods of rest and incubation. The process is good. To watch TV all day long to get all those viewpoints coming at you, to get a few new tidbits of wisdom here and there, but more so to know how inept and inspired the world is all at the same time. It's all there on the fantasy land of TV, but life is not TV, just a part of it to use sometimes to relax. It should never be a substitute to living your life. Nobody should walk your walk, and the greatest tragedy of life in the modern era is that millions, if not billions, let TV walk their walk. They just sit there and live through TV. Nobody will admit it, but it's the truth. The soul is infinitesimally capable of renewal and born-again innocence. I have scar tissues on my soul from all the ugliness in the world, but I've learned not to get bitter, because then I lose. I simply eliminate all the sadness from my headspace and proceed on with my life. If I come across a jerk, I eliminate them from my life immediately. I decided to go back to the soft soul I had as a kid. I cast off all the crap as it happens and know that I'm the master of my fate, so I choose to be happy and free regardless of all the tragedy in my life or the world at large, simply by living in that insular Tahiti harbor for my soul as much as I can. Chapter 5. The other parts of the soul. 18. Pursue knowledge and wisdom to enhance the horizons of your soul. The pursuit of wisdom and knowledge will help you find your soul. Then once you find it, you still need an interest in life to stay inspired about it, so the path of wisdom and knowledge keeps you curious, interested, and most importantly inspired, which is what I'd like to do with the concept of this book. Simply keep the positive flow of ideas going by putting together more books about the spirit of man, and get inspired ideas from the concepts and stories I get from the enlightened people of the world. I have this constant obsession to both fill my mind up with new ideas and create my own. I constantly learn new things anyway, whether they earn me money or not, because that's who I am in my soul. Knowledge is better than ignorance to most people, although many prefer to live in an ignorance is bliss state because life is simpler that way, even though it certainly doesn't help you when you encounter a problem and have no idea how to solve it because of your ignorant state of mind. The Bible criticizes the pursuit of knowledge in a statement in Ecclesiastes 1:18. It says, "He that increases knowledge increases sorrow," which is generally true, but at the same time, if you pursue knowledge for fun, inspiration, and curiosity, not because you have this serious need to unravel all the world's deep philosophical questions and solve all the world's domestic, economic and political problems, it's better than being an average dull person. Solomon, the writer of Ecclesiastes, is talking about the depressed individual who sees all of the world's woes and constantly ponders about how sad it is. Personally, I think a well-balanced pursuit of knowledge is good, just don't become an egghead and sacrifice the pursuit of inspired action and sensual pleasures in order to read your books or do your studies. Knowledge helps us know good and evil and makes most of us better, more moral human beings. The morally good life is generally a consequence of wisdom attained through contemplation of the self and your relationship with the world, as well as through reading the writings of religious leaders and enlightened philosophers before us. Enlightened people eventually come to some sort of belief about karma or some kind of balance between your selfishness and the spirit of life in the world. This is good, to bypass nihilism, the belief that everything is permitted because nothing matters, to believe that there is some accountability for our actions, both for our well-being and for the life of the world. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. It's good to love the wisdom of others to a certain extent, but I differ from almost everyone on the planet now and in past history by creating my own version of my own truth, which is the wisdom of this book. I've explored many philosophers and great thinkers of the past, and even though I've learned from some of them, I've also concluded that they all lived limited lives in comparison to the world we live in today, so they didn't have the opportunities to seek out transcendence like we do now, which is the philosophy of life I've developed for these modern times. Because they didn't have mass media, the wide variety of consumer goods and hedonistic outlets like we have now, many of these philosophers spent most of their nights in silence without electric light, thinking almost too much, because just about all of the supposed classic great treatises on thought I've ever read struck me as being way too long-winded and tedious. So my conclusion is that the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom is good to learn about new things, but it still can't hold a candle to you contemplating or experiencing your own life, because no one who ever lived is more divine than you. Everybody is unique with their own lives, and it's always better to walk your own journey than to read about other people in books. Learning new knowledge is intuitively part of my formula for staying young, but after that, always remember it's inspired spiritual aesthetic primal action that makes a great life, not sitting around contemplating it endlessly too much, mulling it over in your mind until you go crazy, because, beyond the point of objective enlightenment, knowing your soul, knowing that the world is basically full of crap next to your own truth, there are really no divine truths, only inspired action can keep you going in positive motion most of the time, not knowledge and wisdom alone. I feel that I'm connected to the enlightened masters before me by the way I live my life. We're all connected to them if we want to be, by listening to their wisdom and then using our own wisdom to forge greater frontiers for ourselves. Throughout the evolution of human civilization, virtually all philosophers and religions have come to two major ideals. Listen to your inner voice, which is your God or divine essence talking to you. Culture it by learning about yourself and the ways of the world, then take this wisdom and knowledge and do something selfless, noble, virtuous, and worthy with it to help humanity. Whereas most philosophies and religions tell us to live a pious, noble life serving your fellow man, I, as a modern-day hedonist free spirit, say you can have it all, do something good and worthy with your life to help people, and in the process earn enough money in the process to go off and explore the carnal, passionate side. This is the natural way to live in the modern world, not just to work selflessly and aimlessly as a productive workaholic all the time, but to do it all and explore that sensual fun side that's hidden deep inside of everyone, waiting to come out in a free exploration of life. The American dream capitalist ideology errs in that it attempts to produce good worker clones always obsessed with being productive so they can constantly add to their collections of useless material stuff whilst minimizing or even eliminating the aesthetics and sensuality of life, which I've seen in countless numbers of my contemporaries who seemed like alright, cool, happenin' people before they went off to MBA school, but after that, forget it, they were a bunch of one-dimensional clones. I remember one of my MBA acquaintances sold his stereo to me because he said he lost interest in listening to music and or didn't have time for it anymore. It's like selling your soul to the system. We were about 25 then. I remember working out at the gym one day. I looked around and realized that all the people I had been working out with 4 years previous were all gone chasing careers. I was the only one left still hanging on to youthful, easygoing pursuits. This is true wisdom, to realize your youthful inspired soulful pursuits are your life force, but you won't see this in any conventional psychobabble book on how to be successful in life. To me, wisdom in life is to come to the realization that hedonism is good. The two go side by side to live a full life, develop an intellectual grasp of the world and partake in the carnal, sensual, physical experiences life has to offer. 19. The body is the temple of the soul. Oh, is there no way you can express it without being drunk and disorderly? How idiotic civilization is. Why be given a body if you have to keep it shut up in a case like a rare fiddle? Catherine Mansfield, Bliss, 1920. The body is the temple of the soul. 1 Corinthians 6:18. William Blake said, "Man has no body distinct from his soul." Body is a portion of soul discerned by the 5 senses, the chief inlets of soul in this age. Your body is all you really own. You only get one, so if you don't respect it, by the time you hit middle age, you'll know what I mean. Many creative types live for their art but neglect their bodies, thereby losing out on the holistic package. For me, the control of a strong, vital body is about as close to freedom as I can get to in life. Anyone who has less than this is not free regardless of how much money, status, or love they have. It's not just health and vitality in a one-dimensional way as some dietitian or physical education teacher would do it, but the aesthetics of it. A beautiful body on the outside is an expression of the beauty you feel on the inside. It's freedom too. I love to express my power, strength, and endurance. I loved doing it when I was young and I still love doing it at almost 50 years old. You can't beat a long bike ride or a long swim. At any given moment in time, your body is your gauge to you and to the rest of the world how much youthful spark, inspiration, joy, and vigor you've got. A wealthy guy with a decrepit body has lost the game of life by surrendering his temple for the illusion of money. How do you expect to attract intimate partners without a reasonably good-looking body? To stay beautiful and youthful as you age is the greatest way to live. The way you take care of yourself physically immediately shows the world how much personal dignity or lack of it you have. I generally believe that size of stomach is inversely related to well-being, happiness and a sense of freedom, so I know all overweight people feel stuck and constrained in their bodies regardless of what kind of jolly face they put on for the world. Take your body weight in pounds at 22 years old, your body weight now. Find the difference, then use that number to subtract wherever you think you're at on my soul scale. You can never ever really be happy unless you're at your ideal body weight. Anyone over 20 pounds overweight cannot get beyond 50 on the soul scale for very long regardless of what they do. You're out of balance with life. It's like wearing an anchor around your neck 24/7, not exactly like you got jets on your feet and can fly at will. The body is almost everything to feeling good, free, and powerful. Our society puts the physical body on the back burner of priorities, but it's everything. When I'm hot on my game physically, I feel great. I don't give a damn about anything else besides feeling great. The body does it. With a great, powerful body, your life drive and sex drive follow, and this is everything. On TV, I watched them ask a native in a primitive tribe what was the most important thing in life to him, and he said the spirit, the life drive, and his health. You must develop a spiritual connection to your body by caring for it through vigorous activity, good nutrition, good rest, and very little stressful overexertion. I believe in short bursts of high-intensity physical activity for a while almost every day or so, followed by relaxing and recuperating afterwards. One of the stupidest stereotypes around is that athletes are dumb jock types. Not only does it take a lot of mental and inspired effort to pursue any reasonably intense physical activity, but it's really all about testing your spirit to its limits, because almighty bursts of physical activity require a strong spirit to do them. Great athletes aren't necessarily physically stronger or more talented than others, it's just that they have strong spirits to carry them through when everyone else is feeling weak, slacking off and quitting the race of life. You train to become like this, and through inertia, you can just as quickly lose it. Physical activity is a spiritual venture because it fuses mind, body, and soul into one fluid activity. Strive to make your physical activities unconscious, that is, without self-consciousness, letting the action take you away such that you forget yourself and flow with the intuitive sense of the process. The easiest way is to find a physical activity you like and make it one of your soulful pursuits. Dancing is one of the best exercises around, but it doesn't feel like exercise because you're beating a direct pathway to the soul by flowing with the music. Watch some professional classical dancers sometimes, see how free they are with their bodies and how happy they are. Stated simply, your body is all you own. Keeping it healthy is fine, but taking it one level further to use as the instrument of the experience of your life is the true art of enjoying it. Nothing in the world comes close to a session of intense physical activity, not even sex, because hard sex takes a few minutes. An intense release of physical energy can easily go on for several hours. It's like blowing your load spiritually and physically all in one through the effort. It feels great if you're one of the few people smart enough to get hooked on this feeling for life. A person in harmony with themselves is a temperate person, not too skinny or too fat. The only way to lose weight permanently is to live for soul, then food won't matter because life itself will, and you'll develop an internal regulator that'll keep you thin. We have millions of people supporting a multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry, but the way to be physically balanced is very simple. My soul tells me I want to live for beauty, so I merely take what I feel on the inside and express it on the outside. I live for the art of life, which means that food is just a functional need I have. It means almost nothing to me, which is why I'm always at a normal weight even if I sit around, because my thoughts are elsewhere, trying to stay calm, to feel inspired about things that really matter, not what I'll stuff my face with. I use food for mild pleasure sometimes, but I don't gorge myself on junk food day after day. When you're overweight, your soul knows you're out of harmony, so it constantly sends you messages through the subconscious mind about how out of balance you are. If you listen to it and find your way back to your soul, you'll be happy, but if you ignore it, you'll feel those voices inside that will leave you empty and miserable, which is the unfulfilled soul. This is the way life works if you've got enough sense to listen. A person's inner soul is reflected on the outside by the body and face. A strong soul equals a strong body and a calm, peaceful face. A weak soul equals a weak body and a tense, troubled face. As Proverbs says in the Bible, joyful heart makes a beautiful face, and conversely, troubled heart makes a stressed face. The soul is the aura through which a person lives. You can usually tell a strong soul immediately because they have a sparkly look to them. It's the one true gauge of who's really getting some enjoyment out of this thing called life. The more physically active you are to a point of near exhaustion but not overexhaustion, the more vital you'll be. It's that simple. Every athlete is only as good as he is today. If you let up for a few days, a week, a month, it all goes real quick. If you want to live the athletic ideal, it's a lifelong commitment, day after day after day. Physical activity can be a high source of euphoria once your body adjusts and you start getting some real power. Along with soulful pursuits, it's the only real fountain of youth out there. You'll never find it in a pill or a shot or anything else. If you've got a good feeling, vital body, nothing else really matters all that much. A vital body is the foundation for an aesthetic soul, an expression of the beauty inside for your love of life. 20. Music is the dance of the soul. Music is a great healer. Of all the sense pleasures out there, beyond love, sex, drugs and intense physical activity, music is the only one that beats a lightning bolt to my soul. No matter how down or how good you feel, good music will always make it better. It's the simplest, most incredible mood booster in the world. Music is energy and youth, therefore it's always close to my soul. Music is the voice of God. A great song is a moment of divine graceful bliss. Great music can flow sensually through your entire being. Pure music is a divine feeling going from the soul of a performer to his or her audience to take them away to places unknown in normal consciousness. Music is a flowing joy, pleasure, freshness, lightness, creativity, ecstasy, and spirituality. Good music releases the soul. Combine it with love, sex, romance, physical activity, creative action, or sensual pursuits and it will enhance the pleasure of the moment. Just as great music can uplift you, so too can loud discordant music irritate you, confuse you, and possibly wear you out and destroy some of the goodness in you over time, so you should be wary about the type of music you and your children listen to. Strive for uplifting music in all its varied forms, either energetic and happy or peaceful and soothing. Great music can take you to a blissful, visionary, transcendent state where you're as free as you can get as far as the sense pleasures go. Mix it in with other things to get your groove jammin'. Music makes you forget everything and live only in the moment. If you can live in this state most of the time, you win the game of life. I generally don't buy into the hype of the pop music industry. There are objective standards of what good music is and everything else is crap. A good song is a good song and a bad song is trash, no matter how much they try to pump it up on the airwaves. Great music comes in all categories: 50s rock, disco, classical, Christian, folk, techno, digital, classic rock, etc. I have yet to hear a rap song that inspires a strong happy emotion out of me. I think country music is pretty lame too. Music can help you capture surrealistic intense feelings, which is what life is really all about. When I need soothing, I listen to it. When I feel good, it enhances my life. The purpose of life is to keep your soul smiling inside, which is why I listen to positive, easygoing music a lot, to help me feel free, light, and transcendent. It's great for creativity too. You free yourself up enough such that great ideas flow through your mind. Do what I do. I catch a buzz and I start dancing around, listening to my music, which is kinda 80s pop, disco, and 60s doo-wop and ballads. It's freedom without being self-conscious about it. Music is also a healer because it helps you relax and feel good. Music keeps me inspired, calm, and feeling good. Books about music are at #780-789 at the library. 21. Nature is the purity of the soul. The following passages by Henry David Thoreau in Walden sum up why I lived in a rural area for several years, and even though I currently live in the city for convenience sake due to a lack of money, I will return again as soon as I make enough money to buy my own spread. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to confront only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear, nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to lie deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put out all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner, and reduce it to its lowest terms, and, if it proved to be mean, why then to get the whole and genuine meaning of it, and publish its meanness to the world, or if it were sublime, to know it by experience and be able to give a true account of it in my next excursion. I left the woods for as good a reason as I went there. Perhaps it seemed to me that I had several more lives to live, and could not spare any more time for that one. I learned this, at least, by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams, and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Here's another good one by Tatang Gamani from the book Stony Indian. Oh yes, I went to the white man's schools. I learned to read from school books, newspapers, and the Bible. But in time, I found that these were not enough. Civilized people depend too much on man-made printed pages. I turned to the Great Spirit's book, which is the whole of his creation. You can read a big part of that book if you study nature. You know, if you take all your books, lay them out under the sun and let the snow and rain and insects work on them for a while, there will be nothing left. But the Great Spirit has provided you and me with an opportunity for study in nature's university, the forests, the rivers, the mountains, and the animals which include us. In 1852, the native chief Seattle said, "This we know. The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites one family. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. As a race of people, we came from the wilds of nature, tamed it, and now most of us live in sanitized houses, work in buildings, drive to and from work in cars, and never even bother to go outside, much less appreciate and enjoy it. I believe in the power of nature to cleanse us, center us, and bring us closer to God. The earth doesn't belong to us, we belong to it. Ultimately, at some point, we'll go extinct, but the earth will continue. I was born hooked on the woods. It's something that was there when I came out. I can't help it. It's where I belong." At the age of 5, I remember going to our summer cottage in the woods on a lake for our summer vacations, and looking back on it now, I had some of the best days of my life there. Daniel Boone left North Carolina at the age of 72 to settle in Tennessee simply because he felt like he was getting too crowded in. He wanted to live out in nature away from civilization. The sun and the outdoors are natural aphrodisiacs. The sun helps in the production of vitamin D and strengthens the immune system, which kills cancerous cells. It has a freeing effect when you're out there commuting with Mother Nature. 22. Pets are a gift to the soul. Many of us have a lot of love inside, but we don't give it to people because we're either too shy or repressed, or it's just not convenient because the people you're in love with are off doing their own things and feel uncomfortable anyway when you start acting like a lovelorn sap. So the solution is a warm bundle of joy that's always there, doesn't care if you're ugly or pretty, doesn't care if you drive a Mercedes, a clunker, or a bike, and loves you no matter what as long as you feed it and love it back. Pets will help you release all those pent-up emotions you have inside. For the money they cost you, they're way worth it. I love all the dogs and cats I've ever fed and housed, and they love me. I treat them like people. I have a respectful, loving, caring relationship with them. A summary of the soul. A life half lived without fully accessing the soul would be a tragedy, but because I've lived for soul as a struggling artist of sorts, I've had to learn to live in the real world and not be so extreme about it, because it's a tough gig to follow your soul at the expense of everything else like love, material needs, or financial security. But even despite the hardships, I still feel I'm happier than most people because I feel free, I do what I want, I honor myself in a personal noble sense, which gives me a lot of self-respect or arrogance, take your pick of terms, and I feel like I'm really enjoying my life, taking it for a good to great ride just about every day. It's really true that the less stuff you own, the better you feel. It's good to have money put away for financial security, but as far as owning stuff, I have a few boxes in the corner which is all my extra stuff. Sometimes I go for months without even touching it, and that's the entire inventory of extra stuff I own, a few boxes. I could even do without that stuff. The world is materialistic. Money and possessions are the standard by which we measure worth, and creative types who seek to earn their keep by the pursuits of the soul often have a tough go of it because they want some positive reinforcement and money, and many don't get it, especially at the beginning of their quest, so they get discouraged and the soul takes a beating. But for the true of heart, they can't stop no matter what, which is why we see so many struggling artists, musicians, writers, entertainers, inventors, adventurers, explorers, etc. out there. They're doing what they feel they were created for. This is what makes them feel good and gives them a purpose in life. To change would mean to die a spiritual death. This is the true heart of the pure soul. Along with inspiration, you gotta have peace within yourself in order to make it through unscathed by all the tragedy and negativity out there, which is why I rarely watch negative stuff on TV. I don't even watch crime TV shows or movies where someone gets killed and the detective figures it out. It's all negative to me. You must enjoy your life now while going for your material dreams in the real world. Too many people wear themselves out by chasing that elusive material dream which robs every inkling of any joy they may get out of their lives. Then when they get there, they're either brainwashed, too wasted to enjoy it, realize it's empty, or if they don't make it, they turn the anger on themselves and give in to depression, which is self-destruction. Just like too many people destroy their lives going for capitalist dreams, there are just as many people at the opposite extreme, working dull jobs just for a paycheck so they can run off and do frivolous things, engage in pop culture entertainment and spend their money at the mall with no forethought or inklings of doing something deep, worthy, and profound with their lives. They have no sense of identity, and when they crash, as they will at some point, they'll be sad lost souls without a clue as to what's real, substantial, and inspirational in life. In the end, my favorite piece of prose about the soul of the enlightened person is this excerpt is from a speech frequently called "The Man in the Arena," given by President Theodore Roosevelt in Paris in 1910, a year after he left office. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds old have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcomings, who knows the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the high achievement of triumph, and who at worst, if he fails while daring greatly, knows his place shall never be with those timid and cold souls who know neither victory or defeat. Another great one is the poem If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make your dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can walk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you will be a man, my son. Rudyard Kipling.